Hello there, it's Mike.
And Katie.
It's episode 221.
The last few months.
This week on Cup of Rad. Hey everybody, here we are. We're speaking to you from our gorgeous studio in Southern California. The sun is out, the guns are out, the tequila is popping.
We're living in a fantasy world.
Nope, we're in our basement freezing and drinking eggnog lattes.
But the eggnog latte is a nice touch.
You know, you can
Homemade eggnog latte.
almost just hear that. Well, I guess it's not. I don't know. Why do we keep saying eggnog? Why don't we just call them nog? Because there's nog lattes. They're not eggnog lattes because there's no eggs in it.
Well, there's no eggnog. There's
eggs in actual eggnog.
Yeah, but not the same, you're right. I know. Well, then it's just spiced latte.
Well, nog latte.
But what does the
Drop the
nog
egg.
mean?
No one knows.
It's the spice.
That's what makes it special.
It's the spice portion of it.
Well,
I mean, when was the last time?
So was it just hot and spicy lattes?
Hot and spicy Christmas lattes. I don't know.
We could just call them ho-ho-hos.
I like it. We're drinking hose.
Hose, yeah. Boats and hose.
We literally took less than 2 minutes to get to the gutter.
Oh, we didn't get in the gutter. We just rimmed it. I mean, how else could you enjoy, us being in your ears without a little debauchery?
I love it.
It tis the season. Most people are out there doing their Christmas shopping. We are ourselves also trying to not do our Christmas shopping.
Except for the record store.
Yes. So we did something. Baby did a bad thing. We realized we were getting tired of not having physical media, and using the echo thing for the speakers just wasn't really cutting it.
Well, it's been years.
And we kept toying and tolling over, should we, shouldn't we? It was like an episode of Friends.
Toiling.
Toitling. I like that one.
Toitling? No.
Because we were kind of turtling. We were like, should we, shouldn't we? It was like a head popping in and out. Not in the way you're thinking.
I'm just going to let you just keep
not a deep dive. So we decided we kept going to places that had records, and we were looking, and we had that moment of being like.
Well, it was the enjoyment of looking at the artwork, and the records are so much more prominent right now than even CDs. And just so not used to looking at them. And we kept looking at the idea of the record player would be cool, but I didn't want to spend a ton of money. But I also didn't want to be so cheap that it was like, well, what was the point of the money that I spent?
Yeah.
And then for the cost of the records too, I understood that there was going to be an investment involved, but I just didn't know how to go about it, right? And
because it was like this secret club almost.
Yeah, and then there's so many novelty record players out there that you're looking and you're like, okay, so it looks like it retro, but is it actual garbage? I don't want, and it is, right? Because then it's it looks fun. And I was just so afraid of that. So
that one was a 7-in-1.
Yeah, and it's I don't want it to do
cheaper
so many
than the record player we bought.
Yeah, because what from selling electronics before, the more multi-purpose something got, the higher risk of it breaking. Mm-hmm. Because if it's trying to do too many things, it can't do any of them well.
Yeah,
and so I was like,
that applies at work too, by the way. So employers should know that. As
much as I would love to have a working CD player in the main living area. We have an old one. If we really want to, we can try to make it work. This way, let's just focus on the record player. So we ventured to the record store in town.
The local record dispository. Is that what we're calling it?
I guess that's what you're calling it.
I don't know. And they were great people, and they really helped us out, and we ended up getting a record player. And then we got records.
That's such a long story of a lead up, and it was just so throwaway. By the way, the experience was so much more. That was just sad.
Well, describe the experience. How did it make you feel when you stepped into that store? What were you feeling in that moment, Katie?
Now I feel a little nervous. I'm going to continue my story because I thought I was passing it back over for you to like finish the epic tale. So we went to the record company. We went to the record store, and the lady she was actually one of the owners, and it was nice because I didn't feel like, why I didn't feel hoity-toity, like, how dare you not know everything. And it was also like totally understanding that to enter into that idea, to not spend a ton of money. And I asked, so we found this one that we originally were thinking of getting, and it scared you. Seeing it in person was like, yeah, maybe this is a little too not perfect for our situation. If we had no children and no cats, mainly no cats, quite honestly, it probably would be fine. But seeing it and seeing how it was set up, it made me realize that we needed to go up a little bit more. And it really wasn't a terrible increase. And then luckily some Christmas money magically appeared from my lovely mother, and we were able to upgrade enough where we got the separate, better speakers. We got the better contained record player. We got one that's automatic, not manual. And it sounds, so all these, they both sounded great, but then this one is definitely a level up. And it made me so happy to get local, not from Amazon, talk to it, see it, be able to see it running, be able to hear it running, be able to know if I had a problem, I could go back in there. And that it was really refreshing to have a shopping experience like that. And it just made me really happy to get it. And then that was even before I even like had the records or like had the experience. It was like, this was awesome. Right. And, so that was really cool. We bought one record to go with it so we could at least try it. And then we came back a few hours later and bought more records. And it's just all gone downhill from there.
Yeah. Think of Ron Burgundy.
That meme is very, very appropriate.
Yeah. Wow. That escalated like really quickly.
So now it's a very merry record Christmas.
Yeah. Well, it's really cool to be able to have those things that you listen to on Spotify and you don't have on any physical media. And like, we still have our Spotify, of course, because like we leave the house and we need music. Like I literally listen to music when I'm out on my lunch break, right?
Yeah.
So
I need it mobile, and I can't buy records for everything I listen to.
Yeah. And there's those things that you're not going to have too.
Yeah.
And like, we don't need a hefty Christmas section. We can just still use the music. The music isn't that much of an experience for Christmas music, right?
Yeah.
Or other things like that, right? But what we've been able to collect so far, which we've allowed ourselves to have before Christmas, it's been a really pleasurable experience. It's something very different of just sitting and listening to our album the way it's supposed to be listened to all in a row. Like, granted, you can do that on Spotify. I understand that. But the idea
But it's easier to not do that.
Yes. Right. And not skip the song. And it's really helped, I think, when we've talked about getting records, always making sure that these are albums that we like. And it's not like, oh, I like that song on it, and we're going to, that's the thing that I thought is cool about it, is that like everything that we've purchased, it's been more of like this is an album, this is an experience. And I've even found myself, when I've put the record on, just sitting and listening. Yeah. Not being on my phone.
Well, that's how it used to be.
Not, milling about doing other things. Like just allowing the music to wash over you and really have you experience that.
Well, so when we first played, when we first tested it out, so music has always been very, very near and dear to me, and very emotional experience when kind of immersed in it, right? And I really was surprised on how much it hit me, on how excited I was. I mean, kind of almost a little teary-eyed, being able to open it all up and be able to see the lyrics again. Like it's been years since I bought a CD and you had those lyrics, and I don't need the lyrics, but that was the only way you ever used to be able to find them. It was like that weird nostalgia hit me where I didn't have to look it up online. And you got to see all the artwork, you got to unveil everything, and then been playing it. I almost like it hit me with the bass and the fullness to the sound. And you hear in the stereo aspect. I hadn't heard stereo music at home for how long, and you hear different sounds that you can't pick up because the speakers have the ability to really play it and to feel that volume that doesn't get distorted. And like, it was way more emotional than I really thought it would be.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this is 100% the right choice.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited for more
Christmas.
Yes. So excited.
So we got that experience, and that's been sort of encompassing our last week, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it
has consumed all thinking.
But it's the idea where it really came down to it is how much we realize we do love our music and our different genres of music, and having that back as an easy place for it to really then enjoy and share with each other again.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was always something growing up. I used to love going in and looking around, browsing at CDs and buying CDs. Like, that was my go-to thing I would collect, quite honestly, right? And lived and breathed for that. And I was finding this like weird missing point of my youth again, and that was super fun. So.
Well, that's the thing too, is like, as our space is here, our space doesn't get bigger, but our collections grow because we are creatures that like to collect, and our collections have evolved over the time. And that realization too, where there is a lot of things that collecting records is, as much as it could get out of hand, it's still a smaller footprint on a shelf than a lot of the collectibles.
Yeah.
Right. So
also not as hard to clean.
Yes.
Collectibles are dusty.
Yeah. So I ended up actually canceling some pre-orders that I had because I had that moment of like, after listening to those few records, it was the idea of like, no, I want to have the music back in the house. I don't have my music playing, and I don't need another Raphael.
Yeah.
Right. As cool as it is, I don't need it. I don't need another foot soldier. Right. From that version, that wasn't a super needed version of that character.
Found a new hit of dopamine.
Right.
But
we can also go locally and buy it. I don't have to order something because I can't find anything locally.
And then wait a year plus for it to show up. And then, Well, one thing, too, that's been really awesome. Kiddo enjoys music in a very different light than us, a different way. But he has yet to really find any connection to bands or lyrics, which is definitely hard for us to understand because by his age, I was very much connected to so much. And it's not for lack of him being surrounded by music all the time, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But you brought him to the record store and he ended up picking out a Dixie Jazz, like
the
swing.
Dukes of Dixieland, formerly the Dukes of Disneyland.
Yeah.
Record. He wanted instrumental music, and then he asked about jazz, and then he asked what Dixieland jazz was, and then I had mentioned, well, it's the Southern jazz more than anything. Those certain states. I was like, and then we pulled out the first record. Pull out was this one, and I was like, well, some of these are on that playlist that we play whenever we make Cajun food.
Ah, yes.
And it's the ones that these guys played at Disneyland, and that was what sold it for him.
Yeah. So then
he likes instrumental, right?
Yeah, he likes the sounds like that. So that's his record now. He's very excited about it. And he's asking to put it on. He's actually listening to it. And even just the music we've been playing, you can tell he's noticing it more though. Like I've seen him like dance a little bit more, or kind of even just bobbing his head and comment or discuss things. He's interested in it. I mean, I don't know how long it'll last because it's still something bright and shiny and new, but it was interesting to notice that he seems like, is this a possible way to have a bit more of a connection of different? And part of me is wondering too. I mean, for us, I can tell the difference in the sound. Mm-hmm. Is he experiencing it differently? And will that affect him? Because he's really grown up when he's been older around a lot of the dot electronic, Spotify. So is it going to change him being able to hear something different, right? So that's really been a lot of what we've been dealing with. Yeah, it literally has only been last week. It feels like forever.
It feels like... Yeah, it's been about a week. But then it's also been like the searching for it, and then of course it came along the time where it was like Black Friday sales. So we were going, and these and so. But it's like trying to like go back and find things because there is also, you have your used vintage records, but then you also have your new records, and it's like, but we've been collecting more modern bands because we still have our CDs. So it's like finding that balance between it all. So, it's all part of that journey. Mm-hmm. And it's the idea though that I'm excited to go buy a record. It's because I know I'm going to sit there for an hour and listen to this thing, and it's going to be a good experience.
Yeah.
Right. I've already listened to a couple of those records like 3 or 4 times. Mm-hmm. And then, we've only had the thing for just over a week.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I'm.
You have 28 more days, and then you can have more records.
Nothing will stop me. So movie wise, it's been a while since we've talked about movies and everything. There's one movie that we watched that we were really excited for, only because it came out of. We were excited to talk about it. Mm-hmm. It was one that we found on Amazon, and it came out in October. There, it's on Amazon Prime. It's not Amazon Prime exclusive. It follows the trend of Happy Death Day and Freaky. Mm-hmm. Taking like the premises from old comedies and turning them into slasher movies. Mm-hmm. We have the movie Totally Killer. It stars the one that was in Sabrina. And it is a time travel slasher flick.
So this movie, I really liked Happy Death Day and Freaky. I wasn't sure what to expect, though, because you never really know. It could be total garbage. I was thoroughly surprised on how much I enjoyed this movie.
Well, especially when you think of being a direct. Sometimes the direct streaming stuff has been hitting.
Like I was not expecting much. I was blown away by how really thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and totally will add it to like the circle of horror movies for us. Yeah. I was. The humor and the way that the lines were delivered and the I was. It
was a lot of fun.
I was really impressed.
It was a lot of fun. Like it definitely has. It's definitely filmed very similar to like more like a direct to DVD kind of like direct to streaming.
Which was why I was like, I don't know if it's gonna be garbage, right?
And then like there is some corny lines to it, but it is very much making fun of the 80s, but like. The nostalgia of the 80s as well kicks in. So it's very much a Back to the Future kind of vibe. Mm-hmm. But then you throw in a killer in it that's there trying to kill people. And the changes that happen and the things that are there. And it's...
I love the commentary on her going back to the 80s and seeing some of the stuff and a lot of the stuff and being like, this is not okay. Right? Like, why was this acceptable? And just calling it all out.
Right.
And
the call outs was
really well done. Yeah. I was like, why was this okay?
I love the one line I not verbatim, but it was like it was like the idea of like, when's the racism gonna kick or something like that? And then she walks by the gym and sees the red devils. And she's like, oh, there it is.
Right.
So the thing that is also hilarious to me is that it was actually filmed up here in Vancouver. Mm-hmm. It is literally a who's who of where those weird times where you see things, you're like, oh yeah, that area and this area, because the amusement park scene is filmed in our local. It's called the P&E Playland area, which is basically just a amusement park that we have here in Vancouver. So it was funny to see some of those things, and even just some of the other locations. It's like, oh wait, we've driven by that house. It's weird.
Yeah, that's always fun.
But Totally Killer was totally fun, and they didn't mean to have that kind of weird pun.
It just keeps rhyming.
I'm rhyming. It was worth it. Like, and it's not a Halloween based one, so you can watch it pretty much any time.
Yeah, it was light. It was funny. It had good commentary, so it had just enough of things to like make you think about things. It was just entertaining.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it way more than I thought I would.
Right?
So
I ended up being laid up from a little minor surgery, and I overdid things, so then I was told by the doctor to sit down, don't move, watch TV. And so when your doctor tells you to not do stuff, you listen to him because, you shouldn't have overexerted yourself because it ended up making things worse. I spent a lot of time trying to find things to watch in that week I was off.
Mm-hmm.
And I came out very disappointed because there was a lot of times where a lot of the stuff was, I couldn't get into it.
Mm-hmm.
I watched Bodies, and I didn't care who lived or died. It was just kind of like, well, they're all kind of dicks, so why does it matter? I watched It Follows. I was in the same boat. No one was really nice. I was not cheering for anyone to go on. And it's literally an STD movie. And then I sat down, and unfortunately, there's a lot of modern horror movies that try to play off of, well, we're not your studio films.
Mm-hmm.
And they just follow this pattern of like really unlikable characters that you just don't care if they live or die, and it's like it's almost too real.
Yeah.
Right? So then I watched Evil Dead Rise again, and then I remembered how cool that was, and I had so much fun with it, and I was like, yes, gore, comedy, heart, like you actually care who lives or dies in that.
Yeah.
Because it was set up really good, and I was like, that's the kind of horror movie that I like. And then I had a couple other ones where I just couldn't get into. I don't even remember what they were. They were just like, oh my God, what am I watching? And then I eventually ended up deciding, there's a few of the Saw movies that I hadn't seen. Not the latest one, because I didn't feel like paying for it. But they were on Netflix. It was the Book of Saw, the Spiral one with Chris Rock. And then it was the Jigsaw, the like prequel-y kind of like one that they did. At the end of the day, as dumb as those movies are, and as how gory and how violent, you know exactly what you're going into.
Yeah.
And as much as maybe the characters aren't as likable, there's intrigue of like, well, maybe I don't want to see them get obliterated because, well, it is so gory. Right? You're like, please don't
stop.
die.
I don't want to see this.
I don't want to see the flesh ripped off that person's like body.
That's one way to motivate people. Your desires to
right?
not. Yeah. I mean, that is a form of compassion. I don't want to watch you get hurt. I guess it's a selfish reason for it, though.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it. Versus, but still, it's a way.
But like compared to the other ones, you're like, please kill them so we can end the story. Right? Like that. There's that difference. But as much as they weren't the best in the entries of the Saws, I still found myself enjoying actually watching those more than some of the other more art housey modern horror ones. And I think it's because for myself, it's literally laid out as like, well, you're coming to watch people get obliterated. So what's, versus we're giving you this story. It looks really cool and intriguing, but it's boring as fuck. There might be something spooky later.
Yeah.
Oh, no, nothing happened.
Just Josh.
Yeah, right? Like, just... So that was my time when I was let
That was your whirlwind experience.
Yeah.
Trying to find horror.
And I was much...
So an existing franchise and a movie you've already watched and loved because it's also an existing franchise.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Well, I did enjoy Totally Killer. That one turned out really good.
I know, but that was not part of your like recovery, horror binges.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that is true. But that was where it was. Where it was like,
yeah.
So it's made me a little leery about trying things because there was a lot of misfires that week.
That's funny.
So we had a few shows that we had watched over our time. Ashoka finished.
Mm-hmm. That was like a whirlwind of
emotion,
excitement and emotion. Yeah,
there was a lot of great things in there. It's a really good show.
Yeah,
and it really gave me that feeling of Star Wars again.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It was a mix of it had that good mix of action and intrigue, drama, connection of relationships, and the complexity that you're dealing with. It was just it had a decent throwback to that lore of things as well, and it was, and that mystery of like what else does the universe hold,
right? And so, I've seen a lot of people that they still like Andor over it, right? But I think that's the beauty of it is if they're able to actually create these other shows that all have these different vibes, then everyone can have their own thing. Because when it comes to the movies, we can't agree on what's good as a movie and what we want in a movie. But with the shows, now we've got these 3 shows. We've got Mando, we've got Ahsoka, and we've got Andor. These universes that each have a different vibe to it, right? Where I do love Mando, but Ahsoka for me had
lightsabers. Sorry.
Pretty much.
That's all I could think of.
It had lightsabers, and that made me happy.
Yeah.
And it's kind of that vibe. And that's what Rebels did when that cartoon came. I wasn't really into Clone Wars, but when Rebels hit, I was like in it for the lore and the excitement and the lightsaber battles and that's my Star Wars. That's what I see in Star Wars.
The episode in Ahsoka. Because it's been long enough.
Yeah. When
she goes into the little purgatory realm and sees Anakin. That was so much fun. Hearing the sound of the lightsaber like beforehand and seeing the flashes and then having flashbacks and live action Clone Wars from like that was phenomenal. And having him move through things, and then near the end when he's switching back and forth between Anakin and Darth, and it's just constant goosebumps and excitement the entire time. It was just phenomenal.
And well, especially the one scene where like the lightsaber changed from blue to red.
Yeah.
And like it was flashing dark and right.
Yeah.
Like that was just great cinematography, like and like effects in those moments. There were just a lot of good things to say, and it was just a lot of fun to watch, and it was just like I felt like a kid again.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That excitement there, right? So I was really impressed with it. It was fun seeing the Rebels idea again, and being able to see Sabine grow up and see the aftermath of things. It was super fun. I'm excited for more of it.
Yeah, they have announced that there will be a season 2 at least.
Fantastic.
Now that all the strikes are at this time and place.
Now they can actually move
forward a bit more, which is nice.
That's good.
So I'm still gonna throw my hat in there that we need an Ewok series.
Definitely.
We need a ultra violent.
Nice.
Let's forget about the cuteness. Let's go on the fact that they literally had helmets on pikes, meaning they ate these people.
Oh, he's on the Ewok soapbox.
Just saying. Planet of the Apes.
Saying. Cannibalistic little
teddy bears.
Yeah.
Planet of the Apes style.
Yeah. I guess not cannibalistic. I mean, they might have been, but murderous little teddy bears. Yeah. How about that?
Yeah.
We're just carnivores.
Yeah, I was going to say that. So, we watched Goosebumps.
Yes, we did.
That was a good series.
Yeah, that one was surprising how much it sucked us in. All of us were very excited to be able to watch it. And this
also then showed how much our kiddo is growing up.
Yes, because he really enjoyed it.
And this is not like the movies. It's more of like a teen version of it. So it's a little aged up over those couple movies that they made a few years back. Yeah. You're right. So it fits more in that teen era.
Well, because there was quite a bit of drama about it as well. I think that was probably his least favorite portion of it. I think he got a little bit more drawn out with that. I think the comment that he had that I laughed at the most was there was a whole episode of them kind of dealing with a little bit of the fallout of everything. And so it was very much the teen angst and the relationships and all the love triangles and all that sort of stuff. And kiddo turns to me and says, "They're really bad at love." And I was like, yeah, well, most teenagers are. Like, that's just what happens. And I was like, well, at least you're picking up on that. So there's some comprehension on that one.
It was weird because it was like the first few episodes, like, and then it has like an epilogue.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like a twist epilogue that was like, but wait, there's more. So it was a wondering where this was going. But it was fun to have each of those little like nods to the different books and stuff. And you like the stories.
The scary ass poodle.
Right? There was
like, I don't know why that one like really struck out to me of like,
oh, because it was scary.
I mean, it was terrifying, but
it was, you know, but it was nifty to see how they weren't exact representations of the books.
Yeah.
They were just elements of the books weaved into this new story.
Yeah.
Right?
So it wasn't, well, then it allows that freedom for something.
Yeah.
Right?
So I had a lot of fun with it. And it had some genuine, like, not scary, but like creepy moments and which like the books are. They're more creepy than like terrifying.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
well, and at first, so when we originally thought that the season was over and we were just like devastated with this cliffhanger, and then we were all excited that it was coming back, and then it finished up this whole like arc, and then it was like, but there was more.
There's 2 more episodes.
It was a little at first disheartened because it felt like it was a Grey's Anatomy ending, where it was like it was done, but then now you're gonna give me more, and where is this? What's the point of this? But it was the twist portion, right? And but then some of it was just so frustrating. Like Kiddo was actually screaming at the TV that, "Why are you guys doing this?
Yeah.
Why are you?" He knew exactly what the characters were gonna do.
Yeah.
And it was
there was a lot of stereotypes.
A lot of stereotypes, and you know exactly what was gonna happen, and so the one you totally called it.
Yeah.
And so it was still really enjoyable. Like, it didn't ruin everything for me, but it just had that extra bit of like oh yeah, there's always a twist and this always happens and it is what it is, and they still make dumb choices because they're teenagers.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there was that moment where I thought, are they actually going to go the way that they're saying? Because I could see how it would fit into the Horrorland aspect of it. Right? And like open up the pits and let all the monsters out. And I was like, well, that's pretty brave. Like, that's pretty dope. Like, I was not expecting that for on here, but you know. Yeah.
So we had to pull on the heartstrings instead. And, yeah. So, but I would, if you haven't watched it, I would definitely recommend it. It was enjoyable and we enjoyed it as a family.
Yeah.
It was funny. It was heartfelt. It had the scary elements. It was well done. Also filmed up here. So
so there was some other things where we're like, oh yeah, we've been there before.
Yeah. So
right, that scary mind where I left my own bodies.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That one. Oops.
Yeah. So Gen V.
Yes.
Gen V.
That violent insanity.
So Gen V was one of those ones where I'm gonna be honest. I love The Boys, the TV show, more than the comic, because I think that the TV show has kind of boiled it down with not a lot of the fluff that's in there.
I believe you told me that it was tamer.
It is, yeah. The TV show is tamer than the comic. And
I had a double take moment. I'm like, tamer. I would never describe the TV show as tame, so I'm a little scared about what. Well, I think because
Jesse has finally decided to watch it, and I think I said the same thing to him, and he was just like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
It is tamer.
So,
but
sorry,
spin-offs usually suck.
Yes.
Spin-offs are usually those things where you're just like,
what was the point of that?
Yeah, and then it's always the worry of like, do I have to watch this to understand that? Now saying that, you're gonna get more out of season 4 of The Boys when it finally hits because you've watched Gen V. So if you haven't watched Gen V, you should get caught up before The Boys season 4 hits.
But luckily, Gen V is awesome.
Exactly. It's got a little bit of a slow start, but like it has just as much insanity and like gore and
holy shit, they did that,
right?
Yeah.
And Soldier Boy comes back, kind of.
I loved that cameo so much.
Yeah.
It's not what you expect, and it's so totally worth it.
Yep.
I love it so much.
I'm going to throw this out there. If they do a spinoff of Soldier Boy, I won't wait on it. Like we waited, but there was like 3 episodes of Gen V before we started watching.
We will be watching the premiere of Soldier Boy.
Yeah.
Well, because Jensen Ackles does such a great job with him too.
They need to.
Yeah.
They need to. Even as a cameo, it was just like, he's friggin' cool.
Yeah.
Like...
So one thing I did enjoy with the Gen V versus the boys, I mean, understandably, you're supposed to hate the 7. I mean, they're terrible beings.
Yeah.
And then the executives, they're terrible humans.
Well, even the boys.
Even the boys, they're terrible, but, but you still love them. But...
What's the one word I can say is butcher that's okay, Katie?
Yeah. It is 100% okay.
Completely different reaction than if I said it with my regular voice.
See, you got me off track now. Okay, so one thing I did enjoy that better. So you have these people that just like, you hate them so much looking at their faces. They're like, they're just despicable, which I know adds to it. So I understand it. But Gen V was actually a little bit of a relief not to have that same level of absolute hatred towards
because you actually have some heroes.
People, because you actually have good people, right? Yeah. And that was the difference. It's like you can see, it's like that commentary of they haven't hit adulthood yet to be corrupted.
Yeah.
By the system. They're working on it, and the adults
systems are working hard.
The adults are infiltrating and trying really hard to corrupt them. But they haven't gotten there yet. So you actually have heroes. So it was actually very refreshing to see a good and bad guy situation. Yeah. Where like, I'm rooting for them, not because they're the lesser of 2 evils, but because they're actually legitimately decent, trying to wade those waters and change things and stand up for justice and all that sort of stuff. And it was very refreshing.
Yeah. They've created a modern X-Men. That with like the extra violence. This is what it kind of feels like.
Yes.
Like,
well, and it's very much turned into that same commentary, right?
Right.
The back and forth between the
who's superior.
Yeah. So that it was I really enjoyed it. But it was that refreshing, like actually having someone to thoroughly
to root for,
legitimately cheer for.
Yeah.
So
that is fair. Yeah. That is fair. So definitely check out Gen V.
With your own random sound effects. That was amazing.
It's totally worth it. If you were on the fence like we were, it's worth it. So once you got caught up in the boys, make sure you watch that because this will affect season 4.
Yes.
So, Loki season 2. What can we say about Loki season 2? So
I love Loki. He's one of my favorite MCU characters. And I was very excited for this to come back. And it's a bit of a love-hate thing going on with it. Because I love every moment that Tom Hiddleston is there. I love how he plays Loki. I love how all of the actors, they do such a great job. And it's an interesting concept that they've created, and it's a well-done show, but it's slow as fuck. And it is boring for a lot of it. And it's really hard to be positive about it when also I feel like we could have watched a third of it and still got the same amount of information out of it. And it makes me really sad. The last episode was phenomenal because shit finally happened.
Yeah.
And it's just, I was so looking forward to it. And then I feel like there was just so much wasted time that I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm tired. I'm worn out from it. I'm not excited enough for a future thing for it.
Yeah.
So I know you mostly agree. Anything else you want to add to that?
Well, like you brought up though, it's a show that I felt was beautifully shot, beautifully acted,
Well, it's like an art house movie.
Cinematography was fantastic. The sets were fantastic. The idea was fantastic. It could have been told in 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you wouldn't have had the long, drawn out, I need to ponder and think about things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it could have been told in a lot shorter time, and then it would have tightened up and been more of a thriller versus like, we need you to feel as depressed and sad as Loki does.
Yeah, and so I understand a certain extent of that, where you really need to see his journey, right? So okay, I can appreciate that they're trying to get you into that space that you can understand his ultimate choice. And it's still fresh enough that I don't want to give that away. I think just in case, because I know I'm not saying like a glowing review for it, but in case you haven't had a chance to watch it and you're still unsure, as I say, the ending of it and the last episode were really, really good. So if you can say, okay, maybe it'll help if you could binge it and just like really stay focused and just, I don't know.
Yeah.
But like the way it ends, it did help redeem a lot of it because it made the fan in me so very excited.
But up until that moment, though, Loki's character could have been anyone.
And I agree, right? It really, it
could have been any TVA agent.
Yeah. It just happened because of his time slipping was the reason why he was able to do this. It wasn't necessarily his god powers. Because, yeah, so I know that was a situation that he was in for it. But... yeah, I know. There wasn't enough Loki specific situation in it.
To me, one thing I was thinking with how close set it was and how like small action it was and more of the drama and all that, it felt like a COVID TV show. So like, how long ago was this actually filmed? Because everything was so low key. Yeah. Everyone really stays far apart from each other.
Yeah. There's no closeness.
It's like, it felt like that to me. And like, that's where
was that part of it though? That was that part of the vibe, the isolation aspect, the very separation?
Probably. But as I say, like, that's what then gave us these like episodes that just kind of felt like they were repeating. Like, there's probably 3 solid episodes out of 6.
Well, yeah, because I think back at like different events.
2.5 hours. I'll give you 2.5 hours.
What was that really doing? Like, how was that really helping? There was so much. Well, and I know you wanted to see more of the past. You thought he would be the time slipping more.
Well, maybe that's also the fault on a couple of trailers. It made it feel like the time slipping was going to be this thing that made everything work.
Of him hopping around,
right? But it's just really that end moment of it, right?
Yeah.
And so, it's
as I say, we're very conflicted about it. That being said, I still think.
Oh, it's going to play a very pivotal role when it comes to everything down the line.
Oh, it is really important in all reality.
In the whole grand scheme of things, but as I say, I still feel like if they had made, if they compared to some of the movies that have been out, if they had made this had been a 2.5 hour movie and gone to theaters, I would have enjoyed it more. Yeah. Versus a 6 hours of being like, when are we going to do something?
I think he's degrading and actually getting angrier about it as he speaks. He's pulling me, where you just like all of a sudden you realize you're fucking raging. Like, body language has changed.
So
pretty impressive.
But that's
And here I am like talking myself out of hating it. Like, but Loki,
I don't hate it.
Loki was cool, man.
I don't hate it. I get it. I guess I worry too with seeing that the guy that wrote and directed this here is going on to do Kang Dynasty.
So are they just throwing that away a little bit? Is Kang Dynasty one film or a trilogy of things?
I don't know. I don't think they even know at this point.
Are they still proceeding with the same actor and everything now, or are we just proceeding?
They're waiting. I think they're waiting to find out what comes out of his trial.
Okay.
So they're still waiting on that.
It's an impressive amount of patience they're expressing, and I think, I don't know if maybe they've learned a little bit of the let's really actually make sure we know which side of it falls on. We're not saying we're supporting him in case we're not endorsing him, but we're also not going to cancel him quite yet, which is actually probably pretty smart. Let's be honest, you know, we do have a justice system for a reason, so to try to show some faith in it, but whether misplaced or not,
who knows? Who honestly knows? I honestly don't know if Marvel knows what they're doing right now.
So are they using this as a delay tactic that's legitimizing them not knowing?
With how many people that they've fired and like directors and writers that they've like had creative differences with going forward with a lot of their projects.
Oh, really?
I doubt it is. Like this, though, they got rid of the guy that did Shang-Chi, was supposed to do Kang Dynasty.
Oh,
he's gone. They don't have a director as of yet. I think they've got just a writer now.
Oh wow!
Because they switched writers. They ripped apart Daredevil Reborn.
Oh yeah, because they had a whole bunch of it like pretty much filmed and everything.
Yeah,
so
they decided they want to change it up. So they went back to the people that did the Netflix show, brought them back to kind of fix the show.
Weird.
And so then.
Yeah, they're definitely broken.
They're in a they oversaturated, overstretched, and made people angry. We're not what we're as of right now. As long as everything goes fine, we've only got Deadpool next year.
Weird,
right? So, and that's been pushed back to July. I want to say.
Is that just delays for filming because of the strike and everything, right?
Oh yeah, and then they got post.
Yeah,
right? So they could still be generous that July is. Because especially because they've been getting so much flack about because the effects and stuff, like pushing too hard on the effects people, making them.
You want to make them go on strike too.
They're looking at unionizing and striking, so they could.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Speaking of Marvel, we did go see The Marvels.
We did,
and it's been long enough now that if you weren't gonna see it or if you're waiting for Disney Plus, well, we're gonna spoil it for you.
Yeah, it's just the reality of it.
We gave you 3 weeks.
There was not a doubt in my mind that we were gonna go see this, only because I really did enjoy the first one, and it'd been so long, so it was exciting to feel something to look forward to. I was hoping...
Well, it had been so long since we went to the theater to a movie that your account wasn't working.
Yeah, I know, right? It had been August. I know the Marvel new movies have been a little touch and go, right? So I was like, okay, well... let's hope this proves me wrong.
Yeah.
I am very happy that it was thoroughly enjoyable. Like, if we had been able to figure out schedule, I would go and see it again in theater. I was very thoroughly impressed and surprised how much I enjoyed it. It wasn't just like, oh, it was fun. I laughed at it. I felt emotional about it. You feel sad about it. You feel, uplifted by it. It was fun to feel light about it. It was fun to see Nick Fury be funny again and be entertaining. It was fun to see...
Also action. He actually did something.
Well, yeah. They all three... I was afraid it was going to be bloated with the 3 Marvels. I was afraid it was going to be kind of half-assed between all of them, or they were going to rely too much on one thing. Because some of the trailer looked like it potentially could be a bit cornier.
Yeah.
And I was just going to try to lean into it and just let it happen. But it actually worked way better than I was expecting. They did a great job of seeing that character growth and being serious about it when it made sense, and being lighthearted as it evolved, and not leaning into the corniness to the point where it was irritating at any means. I was really impressed with it.
Well, what was fun with it was, I think that's what helped with its shorter runtime.
Yes.
So many other movies lately have been like pushing that 2.5 hours. and this was like 110 minutes or something. Like it was like
it was like a very reasonable time frame.
It was a super short kind of just like, and I think by cutting the runtime down, it allowed them to really streamline the story that was there, so that you didn't end up with too much fat, right? You cut out, and it allowed for those sequences that had them switching places move faster, and so that it never felt old or bloated.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, those scenes when they were switching and fight scenes, I cannot believe how well they were done. It was so entertaining. It didn't get stale. It wasn't like, oh yeah, they're at this again, or it didn't get hard on the eyes and weird looking. Like it was very smooth, and it was interesting. And it got to that point where like, damn, this would be really hard to be constantly moving around.
Well, they would have to film each scene.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, but I'm like actually the character.
Oh, yeah,
idea, right?
Sorry.
But yeah, no, filming it though.
Film it fully,
super impressive.
and then they'd have to go back and edit it to the way it needed to be with how that scene then played out, because they swap so many times.
Yeah, so that was really fun. Something very unique. Yeah. Right? That we haven't seen before. Both for impressive on a character situation and also filmmaking. Yeah. Right?
Besides Guardians, this is the first one in a while that I've actually cared to want to watch again.
Yep.
And actually excited to watch again.
Yep.
Like, I still haven't tried Doctor Strange. Still haven't tried.
And I love
Ant-Man.
Doctor Strange. And
still haven't tried Wakanda Forever. Still haven't, all those ones. Like,
I don't care.
I see them on Disney Plus, and I go, and I really liked Doctor Strange because of what Sam Raimi did with that one. But I just hasn't hit that point where I'm like, I need to rewatch this. Yeah. Right, and I'm excited to watch the Marvels again. I feel like it was
more of a Wanda film than anything, right?
Right, it was just how do we deal with the mess that we've created? Yeah. Right, but like the Marvels, I had a lot of fun with, and I think that's one thing that's been really missing with a lot of the movies is that fun that the comic book movie can bring. Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous at times, but it was funny, and it was fun to watch.
Comics can be ridiculous.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
And that's the thing. We don't always need, the dark, broody comics. We have those ones where it's just an action story that plays in this, and then you get this character's development, and you go, when you watch it and you see after, you go, oh, that's the point of the movie, was we need to bring this character away from isolation and realize that they need to trust and work with people again. Right? Like, that was the point of the movie.
And that was the thing. My complaint of Captain Marvel whenever she would show up in any of the other Avengers or any of the other films for things was she was so stern. Yeah. And it's one thing, I'm all for a badass, powerful woman, but she wasn't as likable. And so I was afraid that I wouldn't like her. Yeah. And I was afraid that it would be something too serious and too intense, and I like that she was still a badass, she was still super powerful, but they softened her up, humanized her more, and realized that working with a team, working with people, working through some of your problems, and literally not just punching everything, could make her stronger, to make her better. And that to me is almost a better female empowerment than some of the just running away and just hitting things. Yeah. It felt a little bit more like the Wonder Woman thing. Yeah. Right? Where you're not just showing power, you're showing, compassion and understanding and acceptance and working together with things. And you got to see that unveiled as she traveled around, and you see these different cultures where she's actually helped a lot of other people, but you never got to see that before. Yeah. So you saw the softer side of her show up and kind of breaking that crack of this guilt that she had, and undoing and fixing things that she had done, and seeing things through that different lens on how her actions had affected millions of creatures. And so that growth was not at all what I expected, and I really, really enjoyed that. Yeah. Like, it was
that's where it goes. Like, the villain was there, but the story wasn't about the villain. It was how to bring those characters together and how to use Kamala's excitement and to show that they needed to come together more.
Yeah.
And become a family in a way.
Yeah.
They became the Marvels.
Yeah.
Right? They became something more by Kamala allowing to unlock that part between Rambo and Carol.
Well, they were both broken, right? They have such history and they were so close and there was such a rift between them that Kamala helped heal that, right?
What was nice too with Kamala was, as much as I enjoyed Miss Marvel, the show, it was cool to see her be able to use her powers more and be a bit more a superhero.
Yeah.
Less of the teen drama.
Yes.
Right? This pulled her away from that, and then it allowed it. So I'm excited to see more Kamala, just because I think I
really enjoy her. She's so happy and positive. And I can't say this enough. I love her parents and her family dynamic. I love the positivity and the love that they all have. Yeah. And they're all important parts of her family. Yeah. I like that it's not the dumb throwaway dad or we have a strong mom, but we have a really important strong dad who helps balance things off. And it's just, I love the family dynamic that they actually have, that they're like, I really enjoy it. Yeah. So no, it just adds to the character.
Right. So that was the one thing that was cool with at the end of the movie where she's collecting the Young Avengers.
Yes.
Right. So we get to see Kate Bishop come back for a little moment, but Kamala's doing her best Nick Fury.
Yeah, that was hilarious. She was trying so hard.
Right. So that felt like it should have been like the mid-credit scene.
Yeah.
But they tagged it on at the end.
Yeah.
Right. So so that's what I'm excited. I'm excited to see where that goes with that character for sure, right? Like, and it's cool that Danvers is taking her under her wing a little bit, especially at the end,
nice
and having
to see, right?
So I think that'll be kind of cool.
So we're gonna talk about this last scene.
Oh yeah, the end credits. So what would be traditionally considered your mid credit in a Marvel movie, but there is only the one scene. Rambo goes to close one of these gates and gets stuck on the other side.
Yeah.
And you find out in the mid-credits, she wakes up and her mom's alive. And her mom is that universe's Captain Marvel, basically.
Yes.
Which is cool to see because in the MCU side of things, she never became that. She died before she had the chance to get the powers, right? But then we hear a familiar voice, Kelsey Grammer's voice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what was cool is that this beast doesn't look like the 2000 Last Stand or the 2009 Last Stand, wherever the hell that movie came out.
Yeah.
Thing, or any of the Nicholas Hoult style beasts. This beast looks more like X-Men, like 97 kind of beast.
Oh, his face was priceless. Because, like, you hear this voice and you see this, like, little bits of blue in this coat, and I was like, holy hell.
Yeah.
Did they actually bring Beast out into this? So...
The first, like, besides Professor X...
Yeah.
In Multiverse of Madness, the first X-Men we see...
Yeah.
Is Beast.
Just, that may... I mean, you could... The movie could have been, like, not nearly as enjoyable, and he still would have left the theater happy as could be.
I was so excited.
From 30 seconds of film, it was adorable.
Like I don't care if the CG wasn't top notch because this is also like a minuscule scene.
Yes.
We got Blue Fuzzy Beast voiced by Kelsey Grammer because that was the one thing in the Brett Ratner's Last Stand. I thought Grammer did a great job voicing Beast
because he's so calm, right?
Right. He's got that real calm, assertive. But I never really liked the look of that beast because he was so fuzzy and like weird.
Yeah.
Right. Better than the Holt stuff, though, like the First Class stuff, because he would look more like a werewolf and a cat, and like
they didn't even know what he was supposed to look like.
And then he was like the Hulk, and then it was
chaos.
Yeah. So this, I think, was cool, and I'm excited to see if this beast goes forward, and we'll get to see this beast at least
come back
in some form, or like
Yeah.
That it was just stupid exciting. Like after getting a whole scene where we get a shit ton of flurkins eating people and cats everywhere. That made my heart sore. And then I get Beast at the end too with an already movie and I got to see Hawkeye. You know, Kate Bishop's Hawkeye and Kamala was hilarious, and they like people hit things and things exploded, and there was laughs, and Nick Fury was like cool again, not just mopey and sad. I had a lot of fun. It was a good movie. Like I had a lot of fun with it. So
yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say about the movie?
No, you summed it up really well right there. I mean, that was a really good recap right there. I'm excited to watch it again, though.
Yeah.
That's all. The other thing I could say then is I'm excited to. I think there was a lot happening and a lot to see that I wasn't able to, and I'm excited to watch. I'm definitely excited to watch all the cat hurting again.
Yeah.
So because that was hilarious. It was so funny because
do not run, let the flurkin eat you.
Like it was so ridiculous, and I loved how ridiculous it was because.
Well, that was a scene. That was a scene.
But it made sense.
That was a scene that I could see drawn.
Yeah, exactly.
In panels.
I can imagine the cats walking all over the place, and all of a sudden, you know, people just like I could see the comic happening in front of them.
That felt like it was from a comic book. Like it you know. So that yeah.
Yeah, I think people forget about a lot of that stuff.
These came from comic books.
Yeah, I imagine that. So,
there's a lot of movies that are coming out that I do still want to see. We still never got to The Exorcist or Five Nights at Freddy's
or Thanksgiving.
That one I really want to go see. So there's a few movies here coming out. We had the unfortunate nature of testing out the waters for our first Christmas expose. I don't know what to say. Expose. I don't know why.
I was going to say I don't even know what we were talking about.
We checked out season 2 of The Santa Claus.
There we go. I don't know what he was trying to say.
So basically, we watched 2 episodes of season 2, and Kiddo said, "We don't have to watch this anymore, right?"
Yep, that was pretty much it right there.
And
which was sad because I mean, not like the first season was phenomenal by any means, but it was still fun to watch.
It was that weird like recruitment video that seemed like it was part of the show.
Yeah,
that really like that really, weird like
really KO'd you. Yeah, I don't. When I think about having to watch it again, I just choose not to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't feel like.
I think this is what I think. This is probably going to hurt some people. So many people couldn't imagine Tim Allen not being Santa Claus that they went on internet rampages and then after Lightyear failed because they couldn't see anyone but Tim Allen voice Buzz Lightyear, they tried to make up to Tim Allen somehow, Disney, by letting him be Santa Claus again. And now we have a subpar Disney Channel, not Star Wars quality Disney Plus. This is Disney Channel. Like we're talking like old TV, like Zack and Cody or whatever the hell they were called, like Nickelodeon. Like
we know, we get it.
Do they? They made this happen.
Yeah, he looks somehow more plastic than he did than when he was actually plastic.
Yeah, when he maybe this is all this is what happened? Evil Santa Claus from Santa Claus 2 or 3. 3. 2. 3. No, 2. 2.
2 is the plastic one.
2 is plastic Santa.
3 is no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes me want to watch Violent Night because I want to see a cool Santa Claus again.
That is going to be, I think, our first Christmas movie.
Right? Like it just,
because Violent Night was fucking amazing.
Right? Like
I want to see a cool Santa Claus.
I think if they were to do it, they should have done a show if it was the idea where they're trying to pass it off.
Where Santa Claus falls off the fucking roof and someone else takes his place and we go like we're supposed to?
Okay, well, yeah. Because literally the story itself...
It contradicts itself.
The story itself writes like the perfect way to be able to recast someone wherever they want.
Right? Why are they not letting this happen naturally?
Right? Like
this is the whole point of it. It's supposed to take over. This is not... where it gets passed on from his. That's not part of the story that they set in motion. The idea was it's there, so at some point he would just cease being Santa Claus. He doesn't have to necessarily like hurt himself to die, but at some point he would cease to exist and be naturally replaced by something, and not this just like. And they just changed so much of like the administration, and now they're trying to change the history of it, and it's just fucking, you're ruining it every single time you try to touch it. Nothing is as cool as the original one.
The original one actually had bite.
The original one had
bite.
I love a lot of the second one. I know you don't, but it's the love story part of me that loves it.
See, but where I enjoy the parts of the third one because I love Martin Short.
Well, I totally understand with that too, because he's hilarious. But the first one had edge to it.
Yeah. And
he's like...
The first one of everything is better only because it usually has edge and then they dumb it down.
Well,
Toy Story.
Tim Allen is just so...
He's kind of dumb now.
He's dumb.
Like, as Santa Claus has gotten dumb.
Yeah, he's not witty, he's not smart, he's just ridiculous. And the magic of the North Pole that they had with all the elves and everything is just slowly washing away. And
because the elves have now become dumb,
right well, and that's the thing, like Bernard had they're trying to have Betty have a bit more of a pushback, and I appreciate that better than the other movies that they had. But even Bernard, though, he used to be so badass, and then he got all weird and soft in the movies. I'm sorry, I'm getting on my Santa Claus soapbox.
Apparently, so when you say maybe I'll just watch this on my own, maybe you shouldn't.
I'm not going to.
Maybe you shouldn't.
No, I'm not going to. I will find other things.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to watch it. It will make me mad.
You look physically like. That being said, you did watch a Christmas movie. You watched my
annual watch of Noel.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So you've already watched it.
And every single time, I've seen it so many times, and I still cry and cry and cry. I love it so much.
That's funny.
Yeah. I love the idea. See, that's the proper way to have a passing on in the family idea. Like, they got it right in that movie.
So that should have been the actual Santa Claus 4 then.
Yeah, because Santa Claus is just he gets old, and you just have the Kringle family, and it's literally a family business for things. And I love that they pushed again about the tradition. I love that the head elf at the end, they're like, but Santa's not a girl. And he's like, well, I checked the covenant. It was actually it says nothing in there about Santa not being able to be a woman. It's just been a tradition that we've been blindly following for thousands of years without ever questioning why it's in place. I'm just like, this is amazing. And the more of the importance of the what it actually is and what it entails, and not the who it exactly is. It looks a certain way. It truly shows that spirit of Christmas rather than what it looks like, which again is the whole point of things. It's like how you treat people, how you experience things for your family, what you do is more important than how perfect your wrapping paper is, or how pretty all these desserts that they're perfectly all made, and they're all done up with your 50 million pounds of icing on it, and you have the perfect Christmas tree, and you have the perfect gift wrap looking Christmas. That's not important. It's the spirit behind it. And I think it's such a simple, fun, silly packaging on it, and it's fun to see, and it's silly, but it can be such a deep message as well. And it's so well done, the idea of someone. It's also funny. It's like, it reminds me of Elf, where she's never left the North Pole, and she comes and she's just totally a fish out of water with it, and it's hilarious, right? Yeah. So I love the movie so much. It's rare for me to find something newer, right? I mean, obviously it's been now a number of years, but I still love it every single time I watch it. Nice. It's still hit the exact same way.
Yeah.
So
nice.
But yeah. That's all I have to say. And for some reason, every year I watch it by myself and not with you, because
you deemed it your movie.
It's my movie, so.
Yeah. I got to check out Spirited, that Will Ferrell, Ryan Reynolds musical.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a Christmas Carol, but a different take on it. It was kind of a fun take on it. It was a cute little film. The music was decent. It feels like a musical, like a play, more than a movie, which is interesting. But that was a COVID movie.
Yeah, okay.
So that's probably even more why it feels that way. But it was a fun little one, you know. Apparently, it came to theaters this last weekend.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Yeah, they did a little thing. Apple got it out there.
That's impressive. That's cool.
So for like a one night only kind of jam. So, but it was a fun little thing. Like it was fun. It was even funnier because when we were at the record store the day before. There was in the past record store day sales. The vinyl of it was there.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. So.
Not Christmas, but you know what movie we forgot to say we rewatched was Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, Across the Spider-Verse. That's true.
We also we actually went out and we bought Blu-ray discs. We hadn't bought that. Again, speaking of buying physical media, we hadn't bought anything. I haven't bought a disc for so long.
Yeah.
And we went and bought Barbie.
Yeah, we haven't even bought Guardians.
And Spider-Verse. And because I was excited to show Barbie to Kiddo.
Yeah.
And then Spider-Verse, we were excited to watch that again because there's just so much going on. Both still wonderful films and thoroughly enjoyed. So.
Oh yeah, Barbie was just so good. It still tops, I think, one of the best films of the year.
Yeah, Kiddo really enjoyed
especially
it.
When you get into like that mass-produced, like your big studio films.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it still hits.
Well, it still has such a great message on it.
And it's still so funny.
Right?
So funny.
Like, it was hysterical. So, and as I say, Kiddo, I was curious to see what he would think about it. Because he has no nostalgia for the Barbie aspect or no care about that, no connection. But he was still thoroughly amused by it and thought it was a good film. So yeah. And Spider-Verse was still beautiful. And I really enjoyed the music because I was paying attention to it.
Yeah, this is the third time. Well, there's a Spider-Verse vinyl. It's actually Daniel Pemberton's soundtrack, not the lyrical stuff, but the actual like soundtrack. And I saw that it was available on vinyl. I love Gwen's theme in it. Mm-hmm. And then when that theme gets mixed with like the operatic theme, when she's fighting the vulture, like I know when we first talked about it, I wasn't super big on the score because it didn't seem to stand out as much. But after watching the film a second time, then hearing the music after like being able to pay attention more to the music the second time, and then listening to it through my headphones, now watching it the third time, there's just a really good beats in there and like good sounds.
Well, watching it again, I was able to pay attention a little bit more to that because that's what's great about rewatching is you can pick up on different things because you're not so focused on like what exactly is going to happen over here, and I really noticed the music a lot more, and it really helped enrich the scenes. Yeah, and you don't even realize how it's adding to it, right?
Yeah. So. I still want to get that on vinyl because I think that would just be a great the music itself.
It really freaked the cats out on that one.
Stands differently, I think, but that's one of those films where I feel like the music itself is a fine listening experience versus some movie scores where like they don't stand out enough to like where you like Pirates of the Caribbean. You need the movie for that soundtrack. Yeah. Right. Where even the first Spider-Verse, the music is just so good. Yeah. Right. Like the music itself is its own character.
Well, yeah, it has it's a thoroughly enjoyed for itself. Yeah. So. Yeah, but the tangent there, but I had forgot about
No, that is. But yeah, Spider-Verse is still going to be near the top for my own if we do our best of the year, right? For sure. Oh, we haven't got out to see Wish yet either, so that's another.
Yeah, you know what? I think I can feel wanting to, if we can figure out how to get to the theater. I know you really want to go see that Thanksgiving, but we'll see what actually happens and what's around. I mean, I have no doubt.
It's a season to get busier.
Yeah,
and
it's just perfect
storm.
Yeah.
Right? But we've sucked ourselves into the marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Yes. Well, my sister had been trying to get me to watch this series for years, it feels like. And she keeps telling me about it, and I'm like, this is weird. Like, my sister her taste consistently surprised me. And they're always great, so I don't know why I question it. But we were sitting around like without having, because of the strike too, some of the things were
we were
delayed.
also looking for something that had a bit more substance, because we'd watched some Rick and Morty, we'd watched some Harley,
and after Gen V, I think we wanted something a little less violent too.
Yeah.
Between that and Harley and Rick and Morty, there was a lot of blood involved.
Yeah.
And I think we needed something that didn't have so much explosions of people. And so
explosions of people.
little asks. So I thought, you know what, this would be the time. Let's just try this, right? And got super sucked into it. We've just started season 2 now. I can see why my sister recommended it. It's so well done, and there's so much. Like, we watched one episode, and I was like, I can't believe so much happened in one episode. Like, I feel there's so much content in it. None of it drags. It's constantly moving. The actors are phenomenal. Great commentary on the world. Like, it's beautiful to watch. It's just fascinating. I feel very much enveloped in it. And
Alex Bornstein's my favorite.
Oh, I know. Susie's like amazing. And the character development, that relationship there has just been great. And like, I really felt like surprise. The relationship between Midge and Joel went from like this irritating anger to, like, you know, this roller coaster of that they brought you on, of really wanting them to, you know, you were just the screw it, you know, she's a free woman, and then you want them to reconcile, and then you feel sad, and it's just like, it really,
there's a lot of emotion,
sucks you into that emotion, and I'm super enjoying it, so I'm very excited that we've been watching.
So you want to go watch another episode?
Yeah, I think we should go do that.
Okay, probably a good idea.
Yeah. Well, it's been wonderful chatting with you. Have a lovely night. Thanks for joining us.
And remember, stay rad.